Hey guys, and welcome to episode 23 of our weekly Super Smash Bros. Ultimate News Roundup, which means there's only 3 weeks left until the game is out. 3 more weeks, guys, and it's going to be in our hands. As usual, we're joined by Ash Paulson and John Cartwright, but no Derek this week to go over all the updates on the Smash Bros. Blog and elsewhere from the past week. So let's get right to it. And that actually starts right away on Sunday, being day 1, not with a Smash Bros. Blog update, but with a brand new trailer that came out that showcased the classic Smash Bros. Banner with all the characters coming to life. Now, what was interesting about this trailer is Nintendo uploaded it to the Smash Bros. YouTube channel without any music at all. It's just sound effects, and despite this, it still came across as incredibly epic. But what made it even cooler is the fact that a lot of people, including ourselves, took the opportunity to add our own music tracks to it, upload those to social media, and those are the ones that really took off in their own sense, with perhaps the most famous one being the Don't Stop Me Now remix, which is just incredible with how the lyrics sync up perfectly to the action. Although I think my Heart Will Go On version, you know, the theme song from Titanic, also got pretty close to that. But this was like, this trailer really took the internet by storm, and I think for that reason, because people were having fun just remixing, just trying different tracks out, seeing what sounded good and what worked with the visuals, and oddly enough, almost every song worked. I even made the Super Mario Super Show theme song work to this trailer.
That's so good.
I don't know how, but it works. What did you guys think of this trailer? Like, it's such a weird thing for Nintendo to throw out there like this.
Yeah, like even the DK rap fits this thing somehow. Like, how on earth does that work? And like when Mega Man's charging up his Mega Buster, it goes like his coconut gun.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Oh, it's such a good trailer just in general, even without all the fan remixes. Like I already loved the like the marquee art. It's so good, and to see that art literally come to life in trailer form was a really cool surprise. And it's got to be probably my favorite trailer for the game so far. And I do love that, of course, my boy Mega Man gets a few seconds of screen time, which is awesome. I have to admit something. I am not as up as the two of you, or updated as the two of you on all the different fan remixes, because when this whole thing came out, I was trying to get to my parents' house because we were like right in the path of like the crazy fires happening out here in SoCal right now. So we were trying to get to our parents' house to see if it's still there when all this was going on. So I got back home later that afternoon, and I'm like, trailer, here's this new trailer and all these fan remixes. I'm like, guys, what's going on? So I still have to get caught up on all the different fan remixes, but I have seen a couple and they are really funny.
There's a lot of cool stuff out there, and pretty much any song you can think of just magically fits this trailer somehow. Yeah. I remember watching it the first time, and I was just thinking, like, this has to be the opening of the game. Like, there's no better way to open the game than just this cold battle between all these other fighters. And it kind of works without any music. I mean, I know it's kind of a meme to add music now, and it was fun to do all that stuff. But just this silent battle, it really works. It really sets the tone for the game. And if they do add it into the game, I think I do want some kind of background music in there. But this just feels like the perfect way to start up Smash Brothers. But it's not been confirmed to actually be in the game yet. To our knowledge, it's just basically a trailer.
Right.
Well,
and I don't think it includes every character, right? So it may not work as an opening or an intro in that sense, because I feel like I heard it includes most of them, but I haven't actually gone in and counted.
It included, I think, somewhere like in the mid-50s. Although I think, John, you put together the video on that, so you may remember it better than I do.
56, I believe, Andre.
Oh, there we go. Thank you. All right.
18 characters missing.
Which is weird. Like, you're so close. Why not just go the distance? Finish it off, you know?
It's true.
Although, what's weird is, too, first off, I love how the trailer looked. Like, I love the art style in particular, where it had the hand-drawn look still. Like, you can see it especially well with the Pokemon trainer. It just looks great. But what's odd is how not every character that's featured prominently is a full 3D render. Like, Pac-Man pops up for a second, and you still the 2D version. But they do a good job disguising it. He kind of squishes around. You can't quite tell unless you watch it 100 times, which we all did because of all these amazing remixes. But getting back to what you guys were talking about with this being the potential intro, I want to lock you guys in right now.
I want to say yes, so I'm gonna say yes.
All right.
Yes.
I'm going to say no, only because it reads to me more like a commercial than a true opening cinematic cutscene, and it doesn't include every character. So I'm going to say no.
Yeah, I'm going to say no, too. As cool as it would be as the intro, I think the lack of music, although they could always add it.
Yeah.
But were that the case, why didn't they have it here? And then also the fact that it opens up with a live footage portion just doesn't ring true to me as a game intro. Although it would tie into the whole idea of these being, you know, toys come to life, right? So it could still work. But yeah, I think this really was just for marketing purposes. Although one of the, I've seen a lot of people out there be like, why would Nintendo waste this money for just marketing? I'm like, no, that's where they would spend the money. They would spend on marketing.
Right, and why wouldn't they want to market the hell out of their most important release of the year? I mean, alongside Pokemon, of course, but of course they're going to market the hell out of this thing.
Right.
Yeah, that does make sense. I think my mindset here is just they have this amazing CG battle, and it feels like a waste not to have it in the game. Because I guess the alternative is to either have like World of Light cutscenes or just have like a gameplay trailer for it, which I guess is what Smash Wii U did, and kind of Brawl with the subspace cutscenes. But yeah, it just feels like this would just fit perfectly to set up Smash Brothers. And yeah, I just really want it in the game. So that's the main reason I'm saying.
I don't blame you. I hear you, man. So final question then for you guys. So since part of the reason why the trailer really resonated with people is just because of all the fun remixes we heard. Like like legitimately, that's some of the most fun I've had on the internet in years. Just like making all these remixes, posting them online, and seeing what people thought of it. That was so much fun, and seeing what other people came up with. Like it actually reminded me of Mario Maker a little bit. You know, just seeing all these crazy combinations and just seeing the community sharing their own. It was a lot of fun. Do you think that was intentional by Nintendo? Do you think Nintendo thought that might happen when they uploaded the trailer without music? Or is this them just dumb lucking into a happy occasion?
I totally think it was dumb luck.
Yeah, I think it's dumb luck too, because if they did know, then it was genius.
Right,
yeah.
But I have a feeling that they were just making a trailer, because it kind of fits the vibe, there being no music. It's just like a big battle. But we basically got no work done in those few hours when this trailer went live.
Yeah. And on that note, let's go ahead and move on to day 2, being Monday, in which we got a character overview for Little Mac. The description reads, as a boxer, Little Mac fights with his fists alone, no kicks. When his power meter fills up, he can use a special KO uppercut, which can really turn a battle around, and pummels the opponent with a furious rush of punches. So there's a few other key points here I want to point out, brought to us by Smash Wiki. First up is the fact that Little Mac has a lot fewer costumes this time. In Smash Bros. Wii U, he had 16. This time he only has 8, whereas he had 8 full variants when in wireframe Mac form before. He now only has just 2, so that's a little disappointing. Why remove them if you don't have to?
Yeah.
We also have the fact that Little Mac can now jump higher, which should be useful considering his jumps have sucked. His grab range has been greatly increased, apparently. He has a new KO uppercut animation, which is more similar to the Star Punch from Punch-Out on the NES. And also, in a pretty big change, his Jolt Haymaker no longer renders him helpless, which will make his recoveries a lot better, and that you can now combine that with an actual recovery. And finally, of course, with the fact that Little Mac's Final Smash has changed, as they already touched on in the description there. So yeah, what do you guys think of this slightly tweaked, or actually kind of impressively tweaked, I should say, Little Mac?
I'm so torn on Little Mac because I hate fighting the character. He just annoys the crap out of me. His super armor, his super fast ground speed. He's so good at getting right up in your grill and just pummeling you. And his super armor he doesn't care about Mega Man's pellets at all. So I hate fighting Little Macs. It's so annoying. At the same time, I absolutely recognize that Little Mac needed a lot of help from Smash Wii U. He needed that higher jump. He needed a better grab range, and that Jolt Haymaker did need to not render him helpless. So, as much as I can't stand fighting him, I do think he needed these buffs. And also, something that isn't listed here, the new air dodge, the fact that the directional air dodge in Smash Ultimate's more like melees, that also gives him a little bit more recovery
range.
Potential.
Right.
Yeah, so, and he needed all this. So, it's much as I selfishly can't stand fighting Little Mac, and I'm also not good with him, by the way, I can't use him at all. I do recognize that Little Mac mains needed these buffs, and I'm happy for them.
Yeah, he did need all this stuff, but part of me is thinking, like, did they give him too much? Because I guess the downside to Little Mac is he's incredibly strong and fast on the ground, but once you throw him off the stage, he basically can't come back because his recovery's so bad. And that's kind of part of the character. Like, Little Mac isn't a great air character; he's best on the ground. And I'm just starting to think, like, have they given him a bit too much mobility here? Like, could this actually unbalance the character?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I don't know, so I'm actually looking up the tier list right now, or trying to, and it looks like he's he's in the C+ tier, which is near the bottom for Smash Bros. Wii U.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I can see why they buffed him. But at the same time, I agree with you, John. I mean, no matter what, there's always going to be tier lists, so someone has to be near the bottom. And Little Mac is kind of a tricky character to use. So, you know, and that's always been like the opposite. It's like if you can land those attacks, you're going to do some serious damage, but it's at the expense of his ability to recover or otherwise move around much besides running.
Right.
So, and even putting inside the tiers, which really to most people won't matter that much, only for the higher level play for the most part. I like the fact that he felt very different to every other character, and I'm sure he still will. But by giving him more mobility, it is bringing him closer in range to the other characters than he was in Smash Bros. Wii U. So I am worried that maybe he's going to lose just a little bit of that distinctiveness for that reason, because even if that distinctiveness came in the form of not being great at particular things, I like that trade-off of being a glass cannon. He's powerful, but also vulnerable.
Yeah, I mean, I am a little concerned that, you know, with his improved jump alongside the directional air dodge and the improved Jolt Haymaker, like, I'm a little worried that maybe his recovery options are going to be too good. At the same time, if his air game is still bad in general, like his air attacks aren't great, and he, you know, even with the improved jump, if he still has one of the worst jumps in the game, then I do think that balance will be maintained. But I agree, I share both of your concerns, and Little Mac is already such a terror on the ground. I don't want him to be a terror in the air, or at least, you know, when I get him off stage, I want to know, you know, be comfortable in the knowledge that, hey, Little Mac has a crappy recovery, so chances are this guy's not coming back. But that may not be the case anymore, so we're going to have to see.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Though I do feel like maining Little Mac now, because Ash just revealed to us that Little Mac is Mega Man's weakness, so
nice.
I have to start training as him.
That's a great point. In fact, I was thinking now Ash knows what it feels like to play against his Mega Man. It's like, yeah, it is annoying, isn't it? So
yeah, and it's obnoxious because Little Mac just runs right through the pellets and right up in your face, and I just can't do anything about it, and it's so annoying.
Yeah, actually, all these buffs to Little Mac are sounding pretty good right now. So, all right, let's go and move on to day 3. Being Tuesday, where we got a couple of updates. First being a new music track from Splatoon, being Seaskape. Ash, do you want to give us a rundown on this one?
Sure, so this rearrangement comes from Hirokazu Hit Tanaka, also known as Chip Tanaka, and he is best known as one of Nintendo's most prominent in-house musicians during the 8 and 16-bit eras, and some of his best-known work is on games like Duck Hunt, Balloon Fight, the original Metroid, Kid Icarus, Tetris, Super Mario Land, Dr. Mario, and Earthbound. He's also known as a pioneer of chip music in general, and he helped design and program the audio hardware for the NES and the Game Boy. He's currently the president of the Pokemon Company affiliate Creatures Inc., and that's something I actually didn't know prior to doing this research. I thought that was pretty cool. He has contributed 5 rearrangements to Smash before, including the Donkey Kong arcade mashup, which is just called Donkey Kong in the game, the Squeak Squad theme from Kirby Squeak Squad, and then in Smash 4 he had Chill version 2 from Dr. Mario, the Pac-Man Club Mix, and Balloon Trip from Balloon Fight. So he's definitely left his stamp on Smash, and of course,
been all over.
Yeah, he's been all over Smash and all over Nintendo. I mean, Duck Hunt was one of the first games I ever played, and he did the music for that. So I thought that was really cool. On the other hand, this track, I'm not feeling it, and I'm not sure it's Hirokazu Tanaka's fault. I listened to the original 2 of Seaskape, and it's okay. It's just not my favorite song from Splatoon, and I don't think this remix does a whole lot to change that for me. How do you guys feel about it?
So
I'm relieved that you feel that way, Ash, because I was listening to what you were just saying there. I was like, oh god, this guy's a legend, and I'm not feeling this track at all. I much prefer the original. In fact, I listened to this and I didn't even recognize it. I had to I had to search for this track in Splatoon and be like, oh, it's this one. I love this track, but I just don't really like this arrangement that much. There's just something about it.
You just said literally what I was going to say. When I first heard the track, I'm like, I don't recognize the song at all. I don't like what I'm hearing. This is hurting my ears. And I went back to the original. I'm like, wait, I love this track. This track is great because I did play Splatoon 2. Or Splatoon rather, I'm sorry. It's a great track. So I went back and listened to this one again. I'm like, man, what happened here?
Yeah, I will say, even if I'm not as big a fan of the original track as you are, Andre, I do highly prefer it to this remix, and I'm not sure what happened here. Obviously, you know, Hit Tanaka is a Nintendo music legend, so maybe he just went for a style that some people aren't going to feel for this remix.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just something very undistinct about this song. I can't even, it doesn't even sound like the original, and I don't know, I'm just not feeling it at all.
Yeah, it's too bad because that series is really well known for its music, and I like the other Splatoon remixes we've heard. So yeah, I'm not quite sure what happened here. But hey, there's always a possibility it'll grow on us, maybe when we hear it, 100 more times in the actual context of a Smash match. For right now, I'm not quite feeling it though, right alongside you guys. So let's go ahead and move on to the second update for the day, being a stage overview of Pokémon Stadium. The description reads, after 10 years, it's back. In addition to the basic stadium formation, the stage also switches between fire, water, rock, and grass variations. If you want to win on this stage, you'll have to alter your strategy based on the current formation. So yeah, this stage hasn't been back since Smash Bros. Brawl, where I think it was replaced in Wii U with Pokémon Stadium 2, and that's also back as well, even though both look extremely similar. And I actually always preferred the original for whatever reason. I think because it felt a little bit more grounded, quite literally, in that it didn't have like the gimmicky air section of Pokémon Stadium 2. But I kind of wonder why they just didn't go the Game & Watch route and or the Game & Watch stage route and just combine both. Make it one epic stage, have 8 forms of it in one, and just get rid of there being 2 separate versions.
That would be pretty cool. It's probably to speak to fans of one or the other, and it's also a really easy way to pump up that stage number count, because it's like you have these 2 stages and, you can just bump that number up by 1 if you keep them separate. And I guess the other excuse for that is, there are people who are only going to want to play on the fire, water, and rock types, as opposed to Pokemon Stadium 2, which has, as you said, Andre, they're slightly more disruptive. You've got the flying type transformation, and the one I personally cannot stand, which I think is the Electro type, the one with the conveyor belts that keep scrolling you off the stage. Yeah. I hate that one. Yeah. So for that one alone, I'd rather pick Pokemon Stadium 1, because I like 2, but that form kind of brings it down for me, whereas in 1, it's really just geographical features. It doesn't feel like it's disrupting the match quite as much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly what you guys just said. And I guess when you're playing Omega and Battlefield versions of this stage, they're going to look identical, like Stadium 1 and Stadium 2.
Yeah, right.
No one's going to be able to tell.
No, totally. I even looked them up, both versions before this discussion. I can still barely tell the difference. I think one has more lights and less fireworks than the other, but...
I think the main difference is Stadium 1 has like those yellow triangles in the middle, and Stadium 2 doesn't. And I think that's literally it.
That's like it, yeah. Speaking of changes and comparisons and such, we are looking at some screenshots of the stage in Ultimate versus Brawl and Melee, and while it is obviously similar, I gotta say, the sky looks a lot better, and so does the audience, like the bleachers and everything. Like, it just looks more dynamic, I guess, the color range and everything, so it's a modest upgrade, but it is an upgrade.
Yeah, the audience actually has a resolution now, which is nice.
Yeah, exactly.
I love the spotlights, the floodlights. They look really good in Ultimate. Like, you can see them sort of like illuminating the stage, whereas they're barely even present in Brawl and Melee. There's just some, like, I think there's some baked-in light off the screen, but you can clearly tell in Ultimate that those lights are, like, actually lighting the stage, which is really cool.
Yeah, I agree. Alright, well, let's go ahead and move on to day 4, being Wednesday, and that starts off with an assist trophy for, an assist trophy overview for Akira from Virtual Fighter, and the description reads, and it's going to include a word I'm going to butcher, by the way, so I can't wait to get to that. The description reads, from the original Virtual Fighter game, Akira joins a battle with the same graphic style as his original appearance. He has a wide variety of attacks at his disposal, but none represent him better than his Tetsuzanko. Oh god. Tetsuzanko? Is that right?
There you go.
Yeah,
nailed
right.
it.
Sweet.
Nice.
So fluently, too. When he leaves a fight, he says a signature line. By the way, Bayonetta's forward throw is also based off the Tetsuzanko.
Hey, you know what? I think you got it again.
I think you're just being kind to me, but I'll go with it. So, anyways, I think this is probably one of the more surprising assist trophies this time around. I never expected to see something from Virtual Fighter, let alone the original incarnation of it. I love again how it's a tribute to gaming's history, and that this one is capturing like the early 3D era.
It's so great. It's easily one of my favorite assist trophies. He looks like he stepped right out of the original arcade game, and he's got his original voice clips and everything. I was never a big Virtua Fighter player, but I certainly respect the series and what it did to bring, 3D fighting games into the mainstream. And it's just so great to have that little piece of gaming history represented here in Smash with this original blocky Akira. It's so great.
And Akira was a Mii costume in Smash 4, so
that's right.
I guess he's kind of been in Smash before, but this is a total upgrade. Like, it makes so much sense to have this character as an assist trophy. And it's great to have more Sega assist trophies as well, actually. And actually, I had no idea that Bayonessa's throw was based off the Tetsu Zanko.
Nice, Tetsu Zanko.
Nice.
You know, one thing this assist trophy does make me want, though, I wish we could get an old school Final Fantasy VII assist trophy, like any character in their old blocky form doing, like Tifa in her old blocky polygonal form doing her limit breaks or something. I just think it would be so cool to see those. See a super blocky FF7 character as an assist trophy.
I mean, going a step farther, I would love it if they had like classic costumes for the characters or alt skins. Like when you could play as Smash Brothers 64 Mario or Smash Brothers 64 Link.
Oh, that would be...
I love that idea.
Yes. They could sell those and make so much money.
Oh man, they totally could.
That would be pretty cool, yeah.
Alright, let's go ahead and move on to the second update for the day, being Spirits. The description reads, primary spirits come in different types, being Attack, Shield, and Grab. Attack has an advantage over Grab, Grab has an advantage over Shield, and Shield has an advantage over Attack. Try to equip spirits that are strong against your opponent's spirit team. So I don't know how much we're going to have to say about this, since we've already talked about this, I think, ad nauseum, both in the Direct, I think in previous weeks too, that I wasn't on, right, Ash?
Yeah, there have been multiple blog updates about Spirits mode for some reason. They haven't really done this for anything else on the blog.
Well, Spirits is a big part of Ultimate, so...
Yeah, so they've done, I think this is maybe the third or fourth separate update on Spirits that they... And maybe this is a reaction to people saying, you know, watching the Direct and being like, I still don't get Spirits mode, what's going on here? So maybe that's why they're doing it.
Yeah, so there have been a lot of reports on Spirits from the blog, but this one's kind of interesting, I guess, because with a triangle like this, you're not just thinking about characters that you like, or necessarily the strengths of them. You sort of have to like balance it out and do countermeasures, and actually think about like what spirit is most effective against another spirit. And I think that's quite cool. Like you're not just sticking with one character for the entirety of World of Light. You actually have to like consider that other spirits are weak against different ones. And it's going to be interesting to see what spirits they give, like attack and give shield and give grab. Because I think they could be quite interesting with that. Like you could give like a support character from Fire Emblem, make that a shield type. I think that would work really well. And yeah, I think it's just going to be quite an interesting little mix of types here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they can really play with it, because like something we saw in the Direct, for example, was the Gutsman spirit from the original Mega Man. He naturally is a grab spirit, so I thought that was pretty cool, and I can see them having a lot of fun with these and just kind of, you know, trying to capture these characteristics as best they can in spirit form. To touch on the aspect of choosing spirits, like you were talking about, John, one thing I also like is that we learned in the Direct that there is an optimization button, so if you're not the kind of player who wants to spend a lot of time thumbing through all your spirits and really picking the best ones for the fight you're about to do, you can just hit, I think it's the Y or the X button, and the game will automatically assign you spirits that it thinks will be good for your battle. So you don't have to do that kind of, you know, really, really looking through the details element if you don't want to.
Yeah, I love that idea. It lets people who want to dive into it really, you know, explore all their options, and those who don't want to deal with it at all just move on to the next battle. So
exactly.
Yeah. Alright, well, let's go ahead and move on to the final update for the day, being a column from Sakurai and Famitsu. So Ash, you did the update on this whole, on everything he wrote here. Do you want to give us a rundown on what he had to say?
Sure, so yeah, really quick here. Basically, this was a column that was a bit different because it didn't reveal a whole lot new. It just kind of went over things we already know and gave a little additional context. So things like, I guess we'll start off with Ken. Sakurai said that Ken is a service to players who, and I quote, make the most of the frames they're given, which I find really interesting because Sakurai doesn't usually emphasize the technical aspects of Smash that much because he usually emphasizes the for fun aspects. So that was kind of an interesting comment, I thought. He also said that Incineroar was chosen for the Pokemon Sun and Moon rep, in part because Sakurai always wanted to try designing a pro wrestler character, and as we've seen, they certainly went whole hog on the pro wrestler conceit for Incineroar, so that was pretty cool. The decision to remove collectible trophies was reached pretty quickly and early in development because they take more work and time than people realize, and instead the team decided to put their effort toward the everyone is here concept of bringing every fighter back to the roster. Which I think makes a lot of sense. Sakurai also reiterated that the distance and location will be a top deciding factor in online matchmaking. He also reconfirmed that Piranha Plant will be available 1 to 2 months after release, so sometime in January or February. And finally, Sakurai also confirmed that the project plan for Smash Ultimate was finished around December 2015, which in a vacuum isn't interesting, but if you consider the fact that that's actually 2 months before Corrin and Bayonetta were released for Smash 4, that means that they already knew what this game was going to be. They knew everyone was coming back before the roster in Smash 4 was even finalized, which I think is cool. So, you know, that's basically everything. Like I said, this column was, you know, it was mainly reconfirming things we'd already heard, but I thought that bit about the project plan being finished before Smash 4's roster was even finished was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. I mean, yeah, this is all, you know, it's all mostly good information. I think the thing that concerns me the most, though, is just the online details. I mean, while there's really nothing new there that we didn't already know, the way he made it sound, basically it's still working fundamentally the same as it did on Wii U. It's still keeping everything synchronized perfectly between different versions of the game, which I think makes sense for a fighting game. I don't play fighting games online too much, but I believe that's how most of them do it. But that means it's going to be prone to the exact same issues Wii U had, and they're relying on the new matchmaking abilities to kind of compensate for that. You find people who live closer to each other, so you're not sending information, you know, around the world, for instance, or across the country in ideal circumstances. But it also makes me concerned that they just haven't addressed it enough. You know, like, that's my worry. Like, is it just going to end up playing like Smash Brothers Wii U again? And if that's the case, I'm not going to be interested. So that's my concern. Like, I mean, it'll probably be better based on the matchmaking, but for us, for instance, we were mostly playing, or like I was mostly playing on Wii U amongst my friends anyway, and matchmaking is not going to help with that at all.
Yeah, I agree with you. It does sound like we may be in for more of the same to a degree with the online Smash Ultimate. Of course, we can't conclude that yet from what we've heard, but it does worry me that you know, the distance and location is a top deciding factor rather than doubling down on the connection quality and making making player skill the top deciding factor. I feel like your skill and your global smash power should be the top deciding factor if possible, but unfortunately that doesn't seem to be possible for Smash Ultimate, so it is what it is.
Yeah, one thing Mario Tennis Aces did quite well actually was when you're hooked up with someone online, before the match starts, it shows you their connection bar, and then does that little stress test and fluctuates it to see exactly how far down it will go. And you can then deny them if it goes down too low. And I kind of want to see that in Smash Ultimate, but we haven't seen anything like that yet, so it's probably unlikely.
It might be a little bit trickier with the fact that in Smash you're going to be matched up with more than just one opponent quite often, I imagine. Yeah, depending on how you play. For one-on-one it would make sense, although that's also where Smash is usually at its best anyway. One-on-one is where it excels. It's because if you're playing with four players, whoever has the weakest connection is going to drag everyone down with them.
Right.
So I wonder, like, I wish maybe there were other alternatives available. Like, if someone's connection starts sucking, like if one player's connection just starts sucking during a match, maybe the game could just pull them out. It's like, you're sorry, buddy, your connection's not good enough for the rest of everyone.
Yeah, because otherwise your match is only going to be as good as the connection, the worst connection, basically.
On the DLC comments, it's curious. Like, I'm wondering, were any of the Smash Ultimate newcomers? Do you reckon any of them were considered for DLC at some point? Like, was Ridley or K. Rool a DLC contender? Because K. Rool had a Mii costume, so it makes me wonder, like, were they aiming to get him in the DLC, but then, like, Bayonetta and Corrin were the last choices? Like, I'm not entirely sure how they were planning this.
I do find it interesting that the cutoff point appears to be Inkling, because Inkling was the first newcomer confirmed for Smash Ultimate, and I know all of us probably thought, going back to our discussions back then about it, that we all thought Inkling would be obvious DLC for Smash 4, and of course that ended up not happening, and instead Inkling was the first character revealed for Smash Ultimate. So I wonder if maybe they thought Bayonetta was a great surprise to kind of end off on, and then, they would begin Smash Ultimate with the obvious inclusion of Inkling.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I also find it interesting that Incineroar wasn't Smash 4 DLC, because Pokémon Sun and Moon, I believe they were out around that time, or at least they were on the horizon. And you'd think, like, even Corrin from Fire Emblem Fates, that game wasn't out when Corrin was announced. That was on the horizon too. So I guess maybe they were holding on to Incineroar for the next game because Pokemon Generations last like 3 to 4 years, so they knew when Ultimate came around that Incineroar would still basically be the flagship Pokemon. Right. So yeah, I imagine that was a case where they were like, no, hold him back for the next game. We're not going to do DLC for this guy.
Right, and I feel like Incineroar would have been a less exciting way to end off Smash 4's DLC than Bayonetta as well.
I mean, arguably, it was a less exciting way to end off Smash Bros. Ultimate's rosters.
Yeah, that's also a good point.
I'm only kidding, though, from my perspective. I think he's great, but I know a lot of people weren't happy when they saw him come out, so Alright, let's go ahead and move on to the final update for the week, being Thursday, Day 5. We've got character overview for Meta Knight. The description reads, this fighter not only has a ton of quick moves, he can perform a mid-air jump 5 times. All his special moves have a recovery aspect, so use them at the right time. His final smash is Darkness Illusion, which unleashes a fast series of aerial attacks. And there's a few other changes I want to point out real quick, again, brought to us by Smash Wiki. First up is the fact that his recovery shuttle loop now goes higher and has less ending leg, and his dimensional cape travels farther as well, making it also better for recovery. Otherwise, Meta Knight looks to be pretty similar to how he was in Smash Bros. Wii U, which is quite a bit different from how he was in Smash Bros. Brawl, a game which he was extremely broken and amazing for it.
Well, yeah, he was so OP in Brawl that he was regularly banned from tournaments. Yep. I mean, it was bad. He had a real balance problem, and now, I mean, he needed to get hit with a nerf bat, and he did. Although I still think he's considered a pretty strong character in Smash 4. Obviously not nearly as good as he was in Brawl, but I think he's still considered pretty strong, and I imagine he'll still be considered that going into Ultimate. But that won't matter to me, because I don't know about you guys, but I like using the whole roster, but there's about 5-ish characters that I don't enjoy using and that I'm absolutely garbage with, and Meta Knight, for some reason, is one of them. I cannot make this character work for me, at all.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. Even in Brawl, like, I acknowledge that he's a jack of all trades and a master of all of them in Brawl. Like he's fast. He has so many jumps. His attacks are crazy. Like his tornado attack basically can just like kill everybody no matter what's going on.
You can't guard against it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. But I still, for some reason, I just didn't find him that fun to play as. And even in Smash 4, I didn't find him that fun to play as. And I like Meta Knight as a character. Yeah, just for some reason, something about how he feels wasn't really clicking with me.
I am consistently impressed by what Meta Knight players can do, because I just feel like I pick that character or I get him on random, and I just feel like my hands just forget what they're doing. I just can't use this guy. I don't know why.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll see how he plays when we get our hands on with Ultimate in a few weeks. So maybe we'll all come around.
Maybe.
So that brings us to the end of the week, but we're not done yet, because we still have to answer one of the questions from you guys, where if you're a Patreon backer for just $1 a month, you can submit questions, we'll choose one every week to answer. And this week it comes to us by way of Christian Skipper, who asks, if you had to eliminate 2 characters on the Smash Bros. Ultimate roster, who would they be? So I thought this question would be pretty difficult, but once I arrived on what criteria I was going to use, it actually ended up being pretty easy for me. But I'm curious to hear your guys' selection first. So Ash, let's go and start off with you. Would Meta Knight be one of those characters you'd cut from the roster?
No, because I mean, even if I don't personally enjoy Meta Knight or am good with him, he represents a diverse moveset from the rest of the cast. I mean,
right.
that is a specific moveset that nobody else really copies or even gets close to. So no, I'd leave Meta Knight alone. And also, I mean, I'm also personal, and this is going to get me in trouble, but I'd probably just remove Wario. I can't stand Wario. You guys know that I can't stand Wario.
Wow.
You know I can't. You know I just can't. I hate that character.
But he's distinct. He
is.
He fits what you were just saying.
I know, and he's not. I'm kind of torn. Wario was initially one of my thoughts, but I agree. He does represent a unique moveset.
Hey,
so
you pick what you want. So if you don't like Wario that much, it overshadows him being unique. Go for it. This is a
right.
good
Well,
choice.
I'm torn between him and Young Link, because Young Link, I love that he's back. I think it's really cool, but I do feel like 3 Links is maybe a bit much.
Hey, you need 3 Links to make a Triforce, okay?
It's true, but we've got essentially 3 somewhat copies of the same moveset, so I have to go against my instincts here. I don't like Wario, but Wario has fans, and he does represent a unique moveset. So I was torn, but I think I'm going to have to go with Young Link and the Mii Fighters. Because the Mii Fighters, that's an easy pick, but they're Mii Fighters. No one really, they're Miis, they're customizable. They're just not as interesting as having specific dedicated characters, and I feel like that era of Nintendo is also well represented by Wii Fit Trainer, who's still in the roster. So I think you could drop Mii Fighters safely, and I would personally probably remove Young Link, because we have 3 Links in the roster.
I like how Ash managed to cut 4 characters in the discussion about 2.
No, I'm keeping Wario in. Wario's safe.
I'm talking Mii Fighters are 3 characters, buddy.
Oh, do they count as 3? Are we counting them as 3?
No, I mean, I'm fine with counting them as 1. I'm just saying.
Okay, cool.
I didn't even consider them, so the fact that you cut them, it just says it all.
Nice.
How about you, John? Who are you cutting?
Mega Man.
I knew one of you would say it. I knew one of you would say Mega Man.
I love it.
No, I don't want to cut a clone character, because I want to cut someone with a unique moveset. And I'm considering 2, actually, at the moment. So in my head, I'm thinking Zero Suit Samus. I think is a great character, but I hate the fact that there's 2 Samus in this game, and they're not even different characters. Like, Young Link and Toon Link are 2 very different characters. Samus and Zero Suit Samus are literally just Samus in a suit and Samus not in a suit, and I despise that. So, I think Brawl was a bit more elegant with it, but I guess they fleshed her out more in Wii U. But I still don't like the fact that Zero Suit Samus is a playable character, so I'm going to cut Zero Suit Samus, and I'm also going to cut Bowser Jr. I don't like Bowser Jr. I think he's kind of fun, but I just don't feel like he fits in the roster as well as everyone else. He comes across... He's a Mario side villain, and he originates from a game that is despicable, and it can't fit his name.
Well, I know we were talking about how I cut 4 characters, but John here has managed to now cut 8 characters in a discussion about 2, because if you lose Bowser Jr., you lose the Koopalings as well.
So, John, I'm annoyed because you took my criteria for one of those characters, being... I also am not a fan of literally the same character in the roster. So originally I was looking at the Fire Emblem cast, because I think there are too many Fire Emblem characters. But you know what? They're all distinct. They're all, or at least unique characters, so I'll let them live. 3 Links is a little bit too many, but again, now that they've actually changed Link to Breath of the Wild Link, they're all technically different Links. So you know what? They're okay too. So for me, because Zero Suit Samus, as you said, is literally Samus but without the suit, I think she can go. And then also Dr. Mario for the exact same reason. He is literally Mario just with a doctor's outfit on. So I would cut those 2, and I think there are the only 2 characters now that are literally copies of another character.
Well, actually, I was going to say, and I almost want to change my answer now, because, I mean, you guys are right in that even though we have 3 Links, Young Link is still fairly different from Toon and regular Link. However, as much as I hate to do this, because I feel like he gets too much hate, Dark Pit literally is almost exactly a clone of Pit, and I feel like as much as I enjoy having him in the roster because he's so emo and he's edgelord and so many people can't stand him, which I think just makes him funny that he's here, he is kind of just a second copy of Pit. Yeah, he has a different side special, his arrows are a bit different, but otherwise he's so similar to Pit and he doesn't add that much, so I'd almost nominate Dark Pit, even though it personally hurts to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you, but I mean, by my criteria, he's still a distinct character, just like his identical twin would be. So yeah, even though I agree with you, it still has to be Dr. Mario and Zero Suit Samus for me.
Fair enough.
So, thanks for the question, Christian. That was a fun one to discuss. I'm sure we just made a lot of people angry, and I'm sure we'll get many comments about that. And if you want to ask your own questions next week, or if you just want to tell us why we're wrong, you can do so by backing us a Patreon for just $1 a month. You can ask whatever you want about Smash Brothers, and we may answer it in next week's discussion. In addition, you'll also get access to our podcast 3 days early, as well as access to our VIP room and our GameXplain Discord. And with that, we're about done here, so thank you for watching, and of course, stay tuned to next week where we'll be talking even more about Smash Brothers. And maybe before then even. We'll catch you later. Bye.